Hello everyone, Brian from Bear Bull Traders here. It's the weekend, January 22nd. Hope everyone's having a good weekend. And this is, of course, the weekend video. We'll take a look at what happened last week and look ahead, see what we got coming up this week. Certainly lots more earnings to look forward to. Tesla, Microsoft, just to name a few. So let's get down and take a look at what's going to happen this week. And let's start out with what happened last week with the markets. Earnings season continuing to roll along here. We had one notable on Friday, Netflix. It surprised the upside on subscriber growth, even though they did miss on earnings. The earnings expectations, the stock still was up 8.5%. They just loved that revenue growth or the subscriber growth. I'm not so sure that was such a great thing if their earnings dropped on subscriber growth, but it still made a nice move, and we'll be looking at that for a possible options trade. We'll discuss that in a few minutes here. Layoff announcements continuing this week. Google laying off 12,000. Stock price obviously loved, the investors and traders loved that. So stock price rose on the news of those layoffs. Fed Waller, I think one of the rallying points on Friday was Waller came out, commented that he did support the expected 0.25% increase in the interest rates that's coming up at the Fed meeting. The Feds are now in a quiet period prior to this next meeting coming up, so you won't hear any more talking from them this week. But again, I think that also was something that was a positive. The markets took maybe a little more dovish looking forward, slowing of the interest rate hikes. So on the week overall, indexes finished. The Dow was actually down. This is kind of interesting. The Dow's been pretty strong over the last couple of months, but you can see here some of the Dow was down 2.7 on the week. The Qs up 0.6. They were the only index that finished up on the week. So rotation of money into, let's call it, more risk-oriented assets. We'll see that with the areas of strength, which was communications and technology. S&P, of course, and IWM also down a little bit there. Industrial sectors and utilities were the biggest, largest losing sectors. Of course, that's sort of reflected in that down number on the Dow. 2-year Treasury just down slightly, and 10-year was pretty much unchanged on the week. Dollar also essentially flat on the week, just down a fraction. And Bitcoin surged this week, up about 10%. We'll take a look and see where it's trading at in a minute here, but right now. Yeah, it's again gold, and I think Bitcoin is maybe getting a bit of a bump here, just because everybody's thinking it's a safe haven with all the currency challenges and debt issues that are going on right now. So that's how the week looked. So let's take a look here now and look forward. So before we get into looking at some charts, let's pause for my Profiting as an Active Trader book that's available on Amazon if you want to check that out. Money Management Rules, Strategies, and the Routines of an Active Stock and Option Trader. So you can check that out there on Amazon if you're interested. And let's get in and look at some charts now. We'll start out with the 2-year. We're always watching the 2-year and the 10-year. You can kind of see we're just sort of leaking away here on the 2-year, which is coming down a bit. Maybe we're heading in the right direction, at least closing the gap between the 2s and the 10s. Again, not a lot of movement this week. We were down about 2% or just a little under, but sort of heading in the right direction, closing the gap between the 10 and the 2s. 10s also sold off a little bit this week, but they didn't sell off quite as much. So we still got that big gap, inverted yield curve, but it does look like interest rates are starting to ease off a little bit here. Maybe, again, investors and traders thinking the Fed's near their end of their tightening cycle, but not really sure that's the case. They keep telling us it isn't, but anyway, market seems to be ignoring that. Transports up on the week, even though we had 2 big down days, Wednesday and Thursday. Volume was kind of average on the transports. Let's take a look at the weekly, sort of an indecision candle here. We seem to be right at an area where there's been prior support and resistance, so not surprising. We've put in a higher low, but we're kind of stalling right here. And again, transport's sort of an indication of economic activity in the market. So the Dow pushed right up, almost got to this 34,500, which would have been prior resistance. This area here is probably another area of resistance, and that's about where we stalled out. So now we're down, came down here to this sort of area of support in this 33,000 level and bounced. So again, as I mentioned earlier, it seemed like the money was rotating, money were constantly rotating in and out of sectors. And at this point, it looks like money has started to rotate back out of the Dow stocks, which had a really nice run here. You can see from September all the way up into the end of the year. And now we're just kind of stalling out here, and maybe money is going to start to rotate back into some of the more so call them risk on plays, which is, you can see the Qs really didn't do very well here, and now they're starting to make a move back up. So risk on. People are afraid that they don't want to miss the bottom on this. If as the Fed maybe starts to stop raising rates. So I think there's a lot of fear in the market, I believe, that that people are going to miss the bottom. And you can see here we've kind of put in a double bottom on a weekly chart on the Qs. So again, I expect us to come up here, at least make our way up here to around 290, depending on how earnings go. The SPY, again, we seemed to have a really nice day Friday, obviously. A bunch of news and investors and traders liked. And on the week we were still down, but you know, we're into an area where there's probably some resistance here. You can see resistance at this point, and here we did break out, but then false breakdown there, and then there was support here. So again, on a weekly, the SPY looks like it could possibly be heading back to 410. IWM, again, here's your area, pretty clear resistance right here, and right back to here. We stalled out, pulled back. And now we're looking at maybe re-challenging that level again. Again, sort of the same comment about resistance levels. Volume's kind of average here. This is why I think that there's just no fear in the market. Why I still think that there's a lot of complacency, I guess, if you want to call it that, or just at least no fear in a big sell-off coming again. So you can see here our VIX level is really down, and the dollar's still sort of weak here, which is helping emerging markets and our gold trade. And there's the weekly. We did put in an indecision candle on the weekly. We are into an area that should be some support, so we may just consolidate. But gold and emerging markets continue to look good. And here's our Bitcoin. You can see here we're trading just under 23,000, and I had looked at it yesterday, 22.6. So we're continuing to move up. Again, I think this is a safe haven trade for all the debt that's going on, national debt, U.S. trade, you know, the debt ceiling and all the rest of that. And so this is, I think Bitcoin is being viewed as a bit of a safe haven, just like gold is. Bitcoin was called the new gold, but I think both are benefiting from the stuff that's going on in the marketplace. On watch this week, I'm still holding on to ATV. I still think that there's still it's a small position, but I'm still thinking that that Microsoft deal will go through at 95. But right now it really took a tumble last week. Flex, still have a small position in that. It just continues from lower left to upper right. GDX, I'm still in my gold trade. You can see here we're still going up on that one. So uptrend, as long as we stay in that uptrend, I'm going to stay long with that. Here's Netflix. So Netflix had a really nice move. This is the weekly chart, by the way. And you can see here we're coming up into an area sort of around 355, 350, somewhere in this area. Talked about this as a possible options trade. So I kind of have a feeling I'm going to watch it on Monday. If it does start to stall out around 350, I may sell some 375 weekly calls, and just sell some and hope that they expire worthless. That's the plan. So again, I'll be looking for some topping action tomorrow, Monday. TNA. Got back out of that. I got out of that position just basically when we topped out around this prior level of resistance, figuring we would have a pullback. Tesla, again, Tesla looks like it's found its bottom. A lot of us are in have sold puts way down under 100. Mine's at 60. I think some of our other traders have puts at 80. We're not long puts, we're short them, which means we hope that the stock basically continues to go up or at least trade sideways, stay above those strike levels, and then we just collect the premium when they expire worthless. That is the plan. So that, again, Tesla is reporting. I expect the report not to be a good one because they've been cutting prices, but I suspect we may get a pullback on Tesla next week after their earnings. So not going to bet one way or another on it, but I think my strike on my puts are 60, so I'm pretty confident that Tesla is not going to be cut in half in value in the coming month, which is when they expire. Here's the trend line I've drawn in for Tesla. This is possibly where it could be going, somewhere around 150 level, before encountering some resistance like we had here, and here. So I'm looking for a continuation move up on Tesla in the longer term. So we'll see what happens with earnings on Monday. That'll be, or later in the week. That'll be very interesting. Natural gas, still keeping an eye on this. I think it's gonna trade sub $10. It's going to be in the 9s, at which point I'll start looking at it as a trade to the long side. And I was going to look at, I didn't add in yin. Yin is a position I'm in now. I should have gotten into it a lot earlier, but and I have been trading in and out of it a bit. But yin looking good. Again, sort of the Chinese recovery trade, which has been sort of actually been in place since November. And actually, I have traded it a bit, but I've got a little position in it now. Yin, and the other one I'm looking at here before we go, oil. Oil is looking like it's getting ready to break out again, and I've seen some projections that oil is going to go back up, and this is partly related to China reopening trade. When China comes online and starts producing again, there's going to be more oil demand, and this is why probably we're getting a move in USO. And if you look at XLE as well, XLE is looking really nice. These are the actual producers, refiners, and it's looking like it's going to retest this sort of 92, 93 level in the near term, probably next week as we continue to move up. Oil is looking pretty strong. So that's it, everybody. So let's wrap things up here. January 23rd, looking ahead, there's your numbers for the Dow, Q, SPY, and IWM, current numbers and support and resistance levels. Economic events coming up this week. Again, focus will be on inflation and inflation drivers. So you got PMI numbers on the Tuesday, jobless claims. Everyone's looking at jobs and unemployment as a source of inflation. So that'll be in focus on Thursday. And then the Feds, you quite often watch this, or at least this is one of their favorite indicators for inflation, the PCE price index. So that'll be coming out on Friday, anticipated probably by markets and traders alike. And here's your earnings coming up this week, just some of them. We got lots on deck, but some of the major ones there. Tesla, Microsoft on Tuesday, as I was going to say, Tesla on Wednesday. Got Intel on Thursday with MasterCard and Visa as well, and then American Express on Friday. So lots of interesting stuff coming up this week. So that's it, everyone. As usual, we'll be starting our pre-market show at 8 o'clock with Engineering the Markets with Jared, then into the pre-market show at 8:30, and then, of course, Trading the Market live at 9:30 with us, if you're a member. So hopefully you can join us at one or all of those things, and we will see you hopefully on Monday morning. Bye for now.